NC Pork, raising the bacon, raising the bar.
We'll start with an opening statement from Coach, then we'll go to questions for the student athletes. We'll have them here for about 15 minutes, and then they will head off to the breakout rooms where they will be able to do a little more one-on-one stuff with you guys. We'll keep Coach Shire here and go to questions for him. Sessions will all end around 3:30. So, Coach, if you want to start with an opening statement.
Well, I'll be brief. I don't have a lot of new from last night. Just that I'm really proud of our team for what we did. You know, looking back, Arizona made some tough shots, made a great run, and I thought we learned a lot from last night. Alabama, clearly they're a high-powered offense and a great team. We know it's going to be a big-time game tomorrow. For me, being in Elite Eight games, it's the toughest one. You know, it's the highest level. But for our team today, we'll dive into them some more, and I'll let you guys ask these guys questions first. But we couldn't be more excited and ready and prepared for tomorrow.
Okay, do we have questions for the student athletes at this time?
Great to see you guys.
Don't everyone go crazy. We'll go here in the front row. Reminder, give name and affiliation before asking your question.
Matt Norlander, CBS. Actually, I'm genuinely curious. How many hours of sleep are you guys on right now before we really dive in?
We'll start with Cooper and go down the row. How about that?
Not sure. Probably. Let me count. Maybe like 6, 7 hours of sleep, maybe.
You're well rested, man. All right, no worries on that. Gosh, you got me beat. Tyrese, for you, having been in this spot specifically, and the guys with you, not necessarily as much, what is the difference between preparing for a Sweet 16 game versus an Elite Eight game?
You're playing for a championship. I mean, it's going to be a high-level game, and I think we've done a great job of just taking it one game at a time and not looking too far ahead or in the past. And like any other game, just focusing on what we have to do leading into this game is the most important thing.
Anyone else for anything? We got on the other side here in row 2.
Cooper, this is Adam Rowe, 24/7 Sports. I was just wondering if there was a moment last night in the second half, despite the comeback, when you guys realized that you were going to win this game and move on to the Elite Eight.
I wouldn't say there was a moment that I could look back to or anything. I mean, I thought we just did a good job of, staying level-headed through their run. I mean, they made a great run. We're coming back, but I thought we did a good job of just sticking to our game plan and just doing what we do.
We're going to stay on that side, standing up. Roger.
Roger Rubin from New York Newsday. I could really ask the question to any of you, but Cooper and Sion and Khan. Now that you guys are in the NCAA tournament, is there ever any sort of feeling that sort of hangs over you about, like, every game could be the last game for this collection of players that's played so well together?
Why don't we do Common, then Sion, then Khan on that one?
Nah, I mean, that comes to our mind too, knowing that this could be the last game, so that we attack it harder and go in with the mentality to win and be prepared as the same way we prepare for every other game.
Sion?
Yeah, we largely prepare the same way. The biggest difference, I'd say, is there's just a heightened sense of urgency, recognizing that, I mean, your season's on the line all year, but your season is most directly on the line in these tournament games. And we just allow it to help us with our sense of urgency preparing for everything.
And Khan?
Yeah, I think in tournament games, each possession means a lot more than it does in the regular season. So you're trying to live and die by each possession, and obviously you gotta have an next play mentality, but the importance of each possession can't be overlooked.
We'll go back to Roger. Go ahead.
I guess since Tyrese and Cooper haven't kind of checked in, I was sort of looking for more of a, like, how well connected you guys are and how you feel about this group of people and the chance that it could be the last time that you guys play together, because it seems like you guys really enjoy playing together.
We'll go with Tyrese, then Cooper.
Yeah, I think I sort of said it all year, just trying to cherish the moments that I get with this group. Obviously, I think we knew from day one we had a special team, and I think just the connection that we share off the court, allowing us to play as well as we do on the court, is really cool and something that I haven't really been a part of in this sense. But I think it's just going out and just having fun. I think we all enjoy playing with each other, and that's why we play so hard for each other.
And Cooper?
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes kind of to what you mentioned about every game could be our last. So I think exactly what Tyree said. I'm cherishing these moments together, knowing that every game could be our last one together. So just, playing for each other and having that connectivity is kind of what's got us to these moments all year long. So just trusting what we've done all year long, trusting each other, and just following the game plan.
All right, we're going to come back to the other side of the room at the end of row 2 over here.
Brendan Marks from The Athletic. Cooper, you've said that playing in the NCAA tournament was always your dream growing up. As you've gotten to actually experience it now and the further you get in, how has it compared to your expectations, and has the feeling changed the further you guys go?
Yeah, I mean, it's a surreal feeling being here. I think I can speak for myself and all these guys. Like, these are the moments that you think about growing up, being in these big-time games, big-time moments together. So, I mean, it's just a surreal feeling, and I wouldn't want to be with anyone else.
All right, we're going to go back across to this side of the room. We got 2 of them in row 3. We'll start on the end. Go ahead.
Kaplan, the Duke Chronicle. For Tyrese and Sion, can you guys talk a little bit about what it's going to take defensively to limit Alabama on the perimeter?
Let's start with Tyrese and then go to Sion.
I think just sticking to our game plan. I think we have a great game plan going into the game, and just not changing what we do. I think when we play together on the defensive end and stay connected, we're the best defensive team in the country.
Sion?
Tyrese said it. Our game plan is just doing what we do all year. They're obviously a really good offensive team, but we've gotten to this point being ourselves, and we're not going to stop it for Alabama or anybody else.
We're going to stay there in row 3 in the middle. Go ahead.
Alejandro Lopez, Zach Blog. Cooper, the great Brian Scalabrine has talked so much about how when he was 14, when you were 14, he was calling Duke and telling them to recruit you, and they were blowing him off. Do you remember what it was like when you first started getting recruited from Duke, and when they were first receptive for you?
Can you repeat that last part?
Do you remember what it was like when Duke first started contacting you, and what that early recruitment process was like?
Yeah, I mean, I first, got in contact with Coach Shire. I was, didn't really want to answer the phone. But I was, I'll answer him anyway, give him a chance. No, I mean, it was obviously kind of like a dream come true when you get contacted by a place like Duke. So just, to hear from him, it was just really cool, and then to start and build that relationship.
We'll do 2 more questions. We'll stay on that side in the back, and then we'll come back down here to you, Matt. In the back on that side, yep.
Jamal Murphy, Hoops HQ. To the players, just the first thing that comes to mind when you think about this Alabama matchup as it pertains to that team specifically.
Why don't we start with Common?
I mean, it's just, we know it's going to be a war. It's going to be a battle, especially on the glass. So it's going to be a physical game. So that comes to my mind when I think about that team.
Sion?
Yeah, they're very talented and they play hard. So it's going to be, like Kaman said, it's going to be a fight.
Khan?
Yeah, obviously, SEC team, they're battle tested. So we'll be ready to go.
Tyrese? Sure. We'll go down the road. Tyrese, then Cooper.
It's going to be a war. It's just going to be a war.
And Coop?
Nothing to add.
All right, we'll come back here. Last question for the student athletes up here in front with Matt.
I think I need more on that Scalabrine stuff, but we can pass along for now. Con, from what you've seen so far of Bama on tape and what the coaching staff has told you, has there been a team that runs the kind of stuff they run that you have faced this season? And if so, which teams would apply in terms of the closest prep you've seen up close and personal over the past 30-plus games?
I mean, I don't think a lot of teams play like Alabama does. Obviously they have the fastest pace in the country. So I don't think I could point out one team that plays like them.
Okay. We're going to dismiss the student athletes. They're going to head to the breakout rooms, so you can join them. Like I said, you're heading out. We'll have people that are directing you. Hopefully you got your sneakers on and not shoes. Got some steps coming in. We will open it up to questions for Coach Shire Once again, we'll get a microphone to you. Just give your name and affiliation. We'll start in the back, standing up. This side over here.
Connor O'Neill with Devils Illustrated. John, I know Malik didn't give you many minutes yesterday, but the 4.5 that he did seemed pretty valuable with Kaman and Pat both in foul trouble. What did you see from him, and how has he responded, and what do you think, just overall, what do you think of his ability to come back and play so shortly after suffering the injury again?
Yeah, I mean, I think it speaks a lot about who Malik is and what he's all about. Look, he's not 100%. He's not close to it. And ideally, he wouldn't have played in last night's game. There was more in an emergency. All of a sudden, Kaman got 2 fouls and Pat got 2 fouls. I thought he did some really good things in his minutes. We're going to have him ready to go again in the next game. And he's been a key guy for us all year round. And, you know, what he does doesn't necessarily he doesn't shoot a lot, you know, so it's about his health and physical readiness. And he just wanted to give it a shot for us. And I think that says a lot. Want to protect him at the same time. And you're balancing when he's fully ready with also the time is running out for the season. So that's been a balancing act for me, to be honest. It's been something we've struggled with. But the fact that his mindset is to do whatever to help us win, I think is an incredible thing as a coach, to have a guy that thinks that way.
We'll stay on this side. We'll start at the end of row 1. We're going to come to row 1, and then we'll stay in row 1. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Eddie Pels with AP. I was just curious what you think of kind of the three-point-itization of basketball that, especially on the NBA side, has gotten a lot of comment. You know, last night's games were exciting, but Alabama shot a couple of them. And do you think it's ever going to go back?
I don't think, unless the rules change, I don't think it can go back, because at the end of the day, it's math, you know, and the math, just when you have that big of an advantage of hitting threes, and then obviously the math of getting rim attacks and dunks and layups and getting to the free throw line, it just doesn't make sense to shoot other shots. And I think last night you saw with really all those teams, all of us that played last night, a lot of threes, but also a lot of rim attacks, and which opens up the threes. And so the more I've learned, you know, it's way different than even it was when I was a player. I mean, I just think it's about the math. And I still think it's an exciting game, but I'm sure that the game will evolve somehow. You know, it always evolves. I'm not sure what that is right now, but no, I don't think it can change, you know, anytime soon.
We'll stay here in the front row.
John, Bama gets up and down the floor. You had the late game. Now we have the late game tomorrow as well, but you want to give you guys time to rest and recover. How do you best prepare your guys to be able to go the way that you know Bama's going to want to dictate the pace in this game tomorrow night?
Right, and for us, I think that's the key. I mean, obviously, we're really explosive in transition as well, but we have to pick our spots too, you know. And the recovery's tough. I mean, our guys didn't get back until about 2:30, you know, last night, you know, until it was all said and done with treatment and everything like that, and let them sleep in today. Gave them an initial scout on Alabama, and we'll have to do another deep dive tonight. And then it's a good thing we have the late game. I'd rather have the late game after doing that last night. But knowing our guys, I mean, we'll be rested, we'll be recovered, we'll be prepared. Playing 3 games in 3 days in the ACC tournament is tougher than this. But obviously this is still a quick turnaround, and you're playing against a team, like you said, they're relentless. They're relentless. They don't stop trying to push the pace and push the tempo, so there can't be any relaxing on our end.
We'll go to row 4 on this side, then we'll start getting to the other side of the room.
Matt Rybeltowski with Forbes. John, congrats on the run. Today is the 33rd anniversary of the Leitner shot, and I read that you started dribbling a basketball at the age of 3. Do you remember where you were when you hit that?
Yeah, I remember the game was recorded, and I remember being in, we had like a little, like, I don't even know what to call it, but a little room, just a couple steps, and I had a little Tykes hoop there, and I remember seeing the shot, and then literally the next day, I think it was, I can't remember if it was I think my mom was Grant Hill. I was Christian Laettner. I think my mom was Grant Hill. My dad was the Kentucky defense. And I think I made 100 game winners that day, being Christian Laettner. And that was what first hooked me into college basketball in a moment that I'll never forget. And it's the best shot of all time in my mind. And then there was really the '94 team that I really followed closely and loved and watched the entire tournament run. You know, Duke lost the national championship that year. But I'll never forget where I was or forget that first moment of watching that shot.
We're going to stay on this side. Go ahead again.
Sorry, just got to follow up. Speaking of the SEC, how do you view the competitive balance of college basketball right now? The conference is pretty dominant, but if you guys win it all, you'll have wins over Auburn, Bama, Tennessee, and maybe Florida. Is it healthy for the sport for a conference to have 3 or 4 teams in the Final Four?
Well, my focus is on Alabama, obviously. But I think it's a credit to what the SEC has done this year. I mean, the investment they've had, the teams they've had, you have to give them a ton of credit. Their league has been awesome this year. And whether that's a trend moving forward or not, I think our league is doing a lot for next year and moving forward. But end of the day, I think it just shows it doesn't matter what league you're from as long as your team is at that level. Like, I don't think for us we're prepared, you know, and I could talk about some of the moments we've been through this season in the ACC to prepare us for this game, to prepare us to play Arizona. But give the SEC a ton of credit this year for what they've done and what Alabama has done. So for me, I don't think it's like you can't beat somebody or that entitles you to anything. But they've had a great year.
Coming to the other side of the room. We'll start on row 2 with Sam.
Hey, Coach. Sam Fetterman from Daily Dose of Hoops. This is the spot where your season ended last year in the Elite Eight. You haven't been to the Final Four as a head coach. You've been there as a player and as an assistant. But coming around at this time, is there anything that you've taken kind of from last year that you're kind of applying and doing a little differently, or what are you doing similarly to try and bust through and make it to the Final Four for the first time as a head coach?
Well, look, I mean, one, you don't take for granted how hard it is to get to an Elite Eight, first and foremost. And so when you're in this spot, you have another opportunity to be back. You want to seize the moment. And frankly, every decision we've made since March 31st of last year was to put ourselves in the same position and have the opportunity to capitalize. And I think the biggest thing to understand for our team and our players is you don't have to do anything different once you're here. You know, you have to do it at a high level, but you don't have to do anything different. And so everything we've done this summer with our workouts, the mental preparation has been building mental toughness and really preparing to be at your best when your best is required. And that's what this game is all about. And, you know, I feel very confident in our team with who we've been at a competitive level that'll be there tomorrow night.
We'll stay on row 1.
Yeah, it's Chuck Culpepper from the Washington Post. I was wondering, you just alluded to how hard this tournament is, and it's knocked you out at just about every stage, and that doesn't make you an exception. But I was wondering, is the Elite Eight, I've heard Bill Self, I've heard Sean Miller say, that's emotionally the hardest place to go out. Is that true? Do you find that true?
I think yes, which means to me it's the hardest game to win. Because your balance it's two things. One, each team has great momentum, you know, going into this game. No matter who you play, each team has won 3 games in a row. And then obviously you're an inch away from the promised land, you know, going to a Final Four. So I think with that at stake, it brings out really high-level basketball, desperation, the competitive level. And so obviously you're that close. And I've been on both sides. And it's heartbreaking when you lose, and it's the best feeling when you win. And that's what you work for. That's why you recruit. That's why you build the team, and all the time, energy, and all that goes into these moments. So it's an honor to be in this game, and I want our guys to really go for it. Like you have to really go for it in this game.
We'll go to row 3.
Alejandro Lopez, Zach Blog. Coach, Cooper gave us his side of the story, but I'm genuinely interested in hearing what your side of the story is in terms of when you started to notice Cooper, when you recruited him, and what that was like.
Well, heard about Cooper at a really young age. Scalabrini was the first person to make me aware of, basically, this is a no-brainer, and didn't blow him off. Okay, I didn't blow him off. I responded right away and then just followed his progression. I mean, he's only 14 years old at the time. And then I remember watching him for the first time in person when he was 15 in the Nike EYBL Peach Jam. And I remember watching him and saying, Scal is right. It took me about 90 seconds. And from there, it was all out. And, you couldn't, there's certain times you can contact or not or all that, but started to build a relationship, and the rest is history.
We'll go to row 4. We got two in the back there.
Jackson Shanks, Seton Hall Center for Sport Media. Coach, this team is so deep, so talented, but someone we haven't seen a lot of is Isaiah Evans. I know he struggled down the stretch when you guys got into the ACC tournament in the early rounds, but he provided 4 solid minutes yesterday, and especially with a team like Alabama that can speed you up, his three-point ability is something that you could easily value in this matchup. Is there a world where Isaiah makes an impact?
Oh, of course. Yeah, Isaiah, I mean, he's been a key guy for us. And, look, part of our team, there's going to be ebbs and flows in terms of minutes and how that all goes. But Isaiah, I thought he had a great spirit yesterday. Came in, hit a big three. That's what he does. But he's ready to go. And I think absolutely tomorrow he can make a big difference in what we're doing.
And we'll stay in row 4 next to him.
Jamal Murphy, Hoops HQ. Back to the conferences and the difference between the SEC and the ACC and the perceived strength of each conference. I mean, do you buy into it at all in terms of a team like Alabama or any team in the SEC being more battle-tested and therefore more prepared compared to you coming from the ACC? And I know you just said you've been tested in the ACC, but do you buy that argument at all?
No, I think there's naturally in anything you can take, there's positives and negatives to either thing, right? And, for us, there's no question we're prepared and there's no question they're prepared. Playing different schedule, playing different opponents at different times of the year, they both prepare you in different ways. So, of course you're going to acknowledge like the year the SEC had with the credit that you get for those wins or some of the battles. Of course, Alabama's had a heck of a schedule. I feel we have too, but it's been different. And so I don't think that gives them any more of a leg up tomorrow based on conference or ACC, SEC. I've been in the ACC a long time. It's always prepared us and had us ready. And this year is no exception in my mind.
We'll come back to the other side in row 4 at the end.
You guys have shot 60% or higher in each of your last 2 games, and then last night at the 15-minute mark, you were shooting 70% from the field. What sort of explains that? Are you running your sets better, reacting to the leverage of the defense more effectively? Seems extremely impressive. Have you seen a stretch like that in the tournament before?
I'm not sure. I mean, I know we've had teams that have been in a great rhythm. I think for us, it's just about we found our flow in terms of how to play really connected without having to call a set every time down, but we have concepts in what we play out of. And so I think for young players, always understanding what the coverage is, how teams are playing you, and then what's next. So we've worked all summer in the preseason, not about putting in plays, but about working through what's next and how we're going to have our system and flow. And I think our team, the last month of the season, they've really come on strong with understanding how to play together, how to put pressure on the defense, and then how to value the right shots.
Do we have any more questions for Coach? If not, well, we'll take one final one on this side, row 1.
Last night you referred to that you would know a lot more about Alabama by the time you got here today. And I was thinking about So you've just finished this really emotional game, and then you go immediately to study the next team? What's that process like in the wee hours? Are you eager to do it? Does it require any energy products, anything like that?
Yeah, for me, my adrenaline was flowing last night, so I didn't need anything else to drink or any coffee or anything like that. For me, it was literally right to Alabama, watching a ton of film on them. The coaching staff was getting me up to date because they've been working ahead on them. And look, their pace jumps off the chart at you. Just both ends of the ball too. I mean, defensively, they've been really good as well. And you're watching different games, and you're up late. And being in this game last year, I knew for me this is. I was very thankful not to get much sleep last night. That's the best thing, the best issue I could possibly have. And got a couple hours of sleep, woke up, did the same thing, watching them more. And tonight, I'll make sure we get some sleep and all that. But it's all about the preparation, and it's an honor. That's what you want to have. So I'm grateful not to get much rest.
NC Pork, good for the plate, great for the state.